Hey guys, welcome back. BDC Care here. We're back with our Q&A. This is Season 3, Episode 9. And we're going to jump right into the questions, but I just wanted to preface this by saying I think this week's questions, both of them are like really good questions.
They're interesting to it.
Yeah, but not only they're interesting, they're like respectful, they're well worded. Like this is a good
thoughtful.
kind of...
They're thoughtful questions.
These are good model questions for anybody who...
These are, what's the word when you do an example that's supposed to be how
it's like a model solution?
Rubric.
Yeah. So, the first one comes from last week's recap, and this is from Jonathan Hung. They say, longtime watcher and subscriber, but infrequent commenter. As described in the video, the two of you are very careful in picking who to augment. So what general guidelines do you have for your crit chance and crit damage augments? Only new goal characters that have interesting passives? Only multiplayer worthy characters? When you have three good characters for a team, i.e. Flashpoint, Blackest Night, Red Sun, Arkham Knight, etc., only for videos? Thanks.
Yeah, I do like that because it is really interesting because it makes me think a little bit about what we've done.
And I think it's also proved that you've thought a decent bit about what we've done in the past and what we're doing, right? These are a lot of the different possibilities for how we would pick. You've almost given us a multiple choice answer to your question.
Yeah, really, the answer is all of the above, right? It's E, all of the above.
Yeah.
So the first part of the answer has to include the fact that when the last laugh ticket glitch was still working, we recognize the importance of it and prioritize grinding survivor. One thing to keep in mind, right? Whenever there's a glitch, you never know when it's going, so you want to get the most out of it while you have the chance. So we were grinding survivor like crazy. We were exploiting the glitch like crazy. So at this point, we have the flexibility of basically augmenting anyone that we want to.
Yeah, and of course that good train will eventually end, but right now, for the foreseeable future, when we really want to augment somebody, we'll have that available to us. And we're still playing Survivor, so we're slowly accumulating.
The rate limiting step at this point is sliding the cards over and over and over, and then waiting for it to all click through when you're trying to max somebody out.
That takes a long time.
So an important consideration is also, you got to think about what the crit damage and crit chance actually mean, right? Because the matchmaker in multiplayer online doesn't take into account crit damage and crit chance, it basically amounts to bonus damage.
Yeah.
So if you max it out at 50% chance and 250% damage, you're doing 50% extra damage on half of your hits.
Yeah.
So on average, that's 25% extra damage.
Or if you consider what, like, just from nothing, if you're considering no other gear, you're actually dealing closer to 75% more damage.
Right, because you wouldn't otherwise have crit chance.
Yeah, because you're getting 150% more damage half the time, as opposed to nothing.
And that number gets even bigger when you're talking about Flashpoint's team's destructive blows.
Yeah, so no matter how you crunch the numbers, it's a lot of damage.
Yeah, so the priority, because we're talking about that, where the advantage comes from matchmaking, the priority for augmentations for us are almost always guys that we want to play in multiplayer. So offline play and challenge don't require that kind of advantage, since the bad guys, the opponents, don't scale up based on your stats. So MP is definitely a priority. When we have three good characters for a team, and you mentioned specific categories like the Flashpoint, Blackest Night, Red Sun that have specific synergy.
Yeah.
Because they're in the same, I'm not sure what word I'm looking for. You know, like the same category? Universe? Okay. So you'll notice, though, the team that we normally play with in our Q&A, which we've made a departure from, is Elseworld Flash, Containment Doomsday, and the Regime Green Lantern. And they may not be part of one team where they offer each other any special synergy, but because of the way they are, they're actually really good together.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we could talk a little bit about that, but maybe we'll save that for another video, because I think it's worth revisiting because we've used it so much that sometimes it's easy to lose sight of why that's such a good team. And especially with the power creep, where the really high-level elite guys don't actually give you much more in the way of points. Like, you could scale up to somebody who's got twice the damage and twice the health, but you're not actually going to get twice the points. In fact, you're probably going to get, with our Elseworld team, you're still probably going to get, I think, close to 80% of what you'd get max.
Yeah. And I guess one last point is that, like, you know, different characters, even if we have a primary team, don't necessarily need augments the same way. It'll help them, but it won't be kind of game-changing the same way. Like a tank, for example, doesn't need crit chance and crit damage augments the same way, but at the same time, when you think about them geared out as a tank, it really is bonus damage. It really is that 75% bonus damage when compared to, you know, damage dealers or special specialists who already have kind of kits centered around that.
Right, and Jonathan, I think you actually hit it with each one of your questions about possibilities, because when you say only for videos, I'm thinking now, there's probably a few times playing Injustice that if it weren't for this channel, I probably would have stopped playing for a lot longer.
Yeah.
And I felt a bit motivated because I thought, what can I do that's interesting this week?
Yeah.
And so sometimes it is for videos that I'll be augmenting guys and spending our hard-earned last lap to get an augmentations on it.
And oftentimes we end up finding new teams because of that, because of this. So part of the reason why there are actually new videos are big, and we're finding new teams is specifically to make the videos themselves. They don't just kind of happen naturally.
That's true.
They don't come out of a vacuum.
Yeah, so thanks a lot for that question. I really liked it.
Yeah. The next question comes from Jini Lera, and they say, "Hi at BDC Kara Gaming, big fun here." And you could be saying that we're a lot of fun, which is true, or you could be saying you're a big fan, which I hope is also true.
I'm liking it either way.
You know, whether it's a typo or not, I like BDC Kara, big fun here. It's a good catchphrase.
Right. And so this was on our, what we called the best MP team.
Yeah. And so they have two questions. They say, 1, right now, I can max out crit chance plus crit damage for a character. Should I go for Batgirl, like you're suggesting in this video, or Arkham Knight Batgirl for the special specialist spot? Arkham Knight Batgirl has higher base stats than Batgirl, and she also brings her own stun. Right. And then question number 2 is, what if instead of using Injustice 2 Superman, picking Flashpoint Batman? Maxed out on crit chance and crit damage, of course, and geared with Astro Harness so that he can tank something if needed, plus 2 basic attack damage boosting gears, one of which must also have crit chance.
Yeah, it's interesting. All right, so the first thing is, I guess if we're gonna stick to our guns and be honest about it, when we say the best, then you really can't replace any of them. This is the best.
But I mean, this is a really good question, because this just isn't like, I want to replace stuff. This is like specific, targeted, like asking what you're planning on replacing them with, and like, really.
It goes to what you said earlier, right? Like, I like this question because of what went the thought behind it, but also that it was looking for something a little bit more nuanced than just pick a team for me.
There was a high degree of specificity, and this was coming from you thinking critically about the team also.
All right, so Arkham Knight Batgirl special seems broken. It's not always completely hitting, so it doesn't do as much damage.
Yeah.
And so what we're weighing is unblockable but broken specials versus an extra bar of power for everybody. And despite the extra stats on Batgirl or Arkham Knight Batgirl, I don't know that there's an advantage, because the only other time where I'd want to see higher stats is for the draw. I want to get stronger fights. And as far as if we've loaded a team up with our maxed out Arkham Knight Batman and a maxed out Injustice 2 Superman, then I would actually still prefer Batgirl Prime, the original Batgirl, because you can do a special immediately, one of those big splash damage special 1 specials that really helps you against the hacking 3 Astro Harness teams. So I think you can still use Arkham Knight Batgirl, I think, but you're giving up a lot.
If her special wasn't broken, it would really be a different story, because that lack of consistency just kind of, it's frustrating.
Right.
Even if it's not necessarily going to lose you games, it'll make games take longer, and it'll totally throw off your strategy. Sometimes if you're banking on that special doing a thing, if you're trying to kill somebody before they get their special out on you, and then it just breaks, and then you get whacked, you end up feeling really gypped, and that makes it a lot less fun to play, even if it's not necessarily awful. And in this case, losing out on a lot of damage is actually pretty bad.
Yeah. Oh, and at the point where you say she brings her own stun, it is actually cool. If you're playing with a weaker team and somebody gets knocked out, then the fact that she can come in with a stun, independent of Cloak of Destiny, independent of her special, and she can just come in and have a free stun like that, can be game changing. The problem is, if your team is really good enough, nobody's getting knocked out.
Yeah. She's
not actually coming in to protect you, so you don't get the advantage of that. And the stun that comes from the special isn't any more of an advantage over Batgirl, obviously. To your second question, what if instead of using Injustice 2 Superman, picking Flashpoint Batman? And I think that's actually a decent choice, because the key for our strongest team is having Arkham Knight Batman, because he can handle everything. He's versatile enough that he can take on he can tank basically anybody. His special 2 is strong enough that he's still a huge offensive force.
Yeah.
And with Batgirl Prime, they're pretty much unstoppable. The second character, or sorry, the third character you need to have somebody with high stats to give you good draws and lots of battle points. In Flashpoint, Batman actually fits that bill.
Yeah, we really picked Injustice 2 Superman because he's a really good all-around character.
Right.
And it's the best team. We want the best third character, even if it doesn't need to be. So that's actually fine.
Yeah.
And there we go. That brings us right to the end of the battle completed. Again, 2 great questions. We really appreciate all our fans, but especially fans like you guys who are like, you know, longtime fans who obviously watch a lot of our stuff.
Yeah, and actually, you know what? I don't even know if I want to broach this now, but I want to mention something at least. If there's interest in like an account giveaway, let us know in the comments. I'm thinking of something about tying it to another game that I've been playing a lot and I really enjoy called Renegade Midnight Star, and I've mentioned it a few times, but I'd really like to encourage people to try it, and I'm thinking about doing a really good giveaway based on ranking in the daily and weekly challenges and that.
So there you go. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Komoda.